I am in the right atmosphere. And that is the talk in and of itself, from what Gary started out with, what we sang, and what Jan brought to the table, and what Bertha just mentioned, that it starts with me. A world that works for everyone has to work for me. And if I'm struggling with seeing the beauty in everybody else, it's an indicator I'm having trouble seeing the beauty in me. So it's that bringing that love. There's always going to be conflict. You're never going to be bored. You're always going to have something to work through or work on. That's that edge of growth that's promised. But if it's going to be, it's up to me, is what I heard Bertha say. So I'm going to share my screen and get started with a couple of things here that I would like to share with you today. And as always, it's timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. And today is open to the possibilities. And I am open to the possibilities, but I'm not always willing. Sometimes I say I want things to change and I get my foot on the gas, but I'm afraid that it's going to be too much work, or is it too big for me? So I've got my foot on the gas and my foot on the brake, and I'm just burning up my engine, not going anywhere, and not giving up, and just being where I'm at as well. A lot of times I have to take a deep breath and ask myself, am I willing to change? Because, like, I think it was Reverend Sunshine 2 weeks ago that said, take a deep breath to breathe in life, breathe in the love of God, and then hold on to it. And breathing is good, and that breath gives you life, and that is good. And then you continue to hold on to it because you love your good. But now your good becomes painful because it's hard to hold on to that breath. And now that what you love is now a struggle to hold on to, and it's causing pain. And just when you think you can't take it anymore and you let go of that breath, the pain dissolves in your body and another breath rushes in. So it's always about releasing. It's always about letting go to receive. Change is inevitably evolutionary good. It is your nature to always want to evolve. So I have a couple of questions. Are you living your best life? Are you living God's blessing for you? Because my life is good, but I also know that I play small in a lot of arenas. And it's easier to fit in than it is to stand out. So I constantly have to look at my life. You know, what's God's vision for my life? Am I staying true to my purpose? And I look at, what do I love about my life right now? Because I don't like making myself or other people wrong. That's not what it's all about. What do you love? What would you like more of? And what would you like to change? And visioning, or holding open to the possibilities through visioning. Visioning is one of the best spiritual tools in the business. Like Gary spoke about in the reading, it's being able to ask for God's vision in your life. And Jan opened up, you know, sometimes I get in the way. I need to consider we, and we have that infinite. God gives us something to do. We go out and do it, come back and check on it, gives us something to do. It's always a giving and receiving. It's like our breath. Are we willing? Are we open to change? And are we willing to live God's blessings? Are we bold enough to love certain aspects of our life? And are we willing to change to see what else is out there? And I will be having my slides up because I want you to be able to read them. And I want you to know that Gary practically said this already, but there comes to each the logical and exact result of our own receptivity. To each, life brings the reward of its own visioning. The reward of merit is an objective outcome of merit itself, and not a thing superimposed by a divine mandate. Each person is rewarded not for virtue, but through virtue. So what this means for us is that through our own receptivity, our own thinking, are we willing to expand an opening for God, to allow the magnificence that is trying to express in and through us to have full sway? Are we open to creating a vision bigger than our little self, that we may expand the good of God? Because there's not a little bit of God over here for Judy and a whole bunch of God over here for Gary. There's equal parts at both places. And we've seen this in life where people are born into opportunities and they dwindle and waste it away. And we see people that come from absolute bare minimum nothing and create a life that's not only beautiful for themselves, but other people as well. So it's by virtue, not through virtue, that by your birthright, you are given the opportunity to God to express thoroughly through you, for you. And I want to show you that if you go to a store and you look at, well, let's just look at the world. If you look at the world and see what your resources are, and you look at what's available for you, where do you fit in? What can you do for a job? What can you do? You go to college, get a job, you get married, you have kids, da da da. There's a recipe for success. If you go to the store and there's books on the bookshelf, and any one of those books has an outline for you. And in that outline, let me see if I can show you. It'll give you things to do. Can you see this? It'll give you pictures to color. No two people are going to color them alike. No two people are going to finish the book alike. No two people are going to do it the same. But there's books out there that give you an outline, that things that you can follow, that you can do. And then you spend your life coloring your book. So you color in the spaces that are there. And at the end of the book, you go, okay, well, now what? What do I do with the rest of my life? And how come I did everything I was expected to do, but it doesn't feel as fulfilling as it could have been? So the purpose of visioning is to allow God to open up for you an opportunity for growth. All spiritual growth is 100% of it is about releasing or eliminating rather than attaining something, because you're already it spiritually. You're already it. So in this opportunity, you can have the infinite expression of God move through you if you but hold the vision of what you want to experience in your life. Imagination is one of the hardest tools to work with because you can't see it until you sit with it and develop it. It's not like going to the store and saying, I want this life. This is a template I want. You create it from the nothingness in your book. God provides you with a blank sheet of paper that through visioning, you can download the images, the feeling tone, the textures, the colors of the whole picture, and understand that as the vision is given to you, that everything you need to fulfill that vision is provided with it. That God doesn't trickle out and tease you, but the vision, using your imagination, is the carrot that keeps you evolving and moving forward, engaged in your life. For every day is similar, but no 2 days are the same. And you may get up every morning and not even realize that you're in such a routine that when new shows up, you don't see it because you're in that routine. Visioning is part of the process that allows you to live life on God's terms, not by what you think is limited resources. And I would ask you, does this make sense? But I'm not going to do that because my son says I ask that too much. I'm learning to use this. Kevin makes it look so easy. Faith is real to the one who experiences it and cannot be denied to the mind of the one who has proven it. And what is this faith we should have? We should have faith that there is but one mind. This mind is both the mind of man and the mind of God. You are not separate from the infinite possibilities that God has to offer you. You tap into and live from the fullness of God. And are you open to the possibilities of God using you in a bigger, mightier way? So I know that, let's say that God is the river of life, and that every day you have the opportunity to go to the river. You can take a teaspoon, you can take a cup, you can take a gallon bucket, you can take whatever measure of supply that you think you need or want in life. And you can use that on a daily basis. Or visioning, what visioning teaches is not to extract from God, but to jump in the river and let it carry you and fulfill you with the supply of everything you need. It's like ordering something and having it being brought to you, specifically based on what you have held true for you. This is powerful. The one mind of man is the one mind of God. And God can only do through you what you allow to happen through you. So you want to be open and receptive. The Christ is here, the Christ consciousness. It is your very own consciousness when human thought is stilled, where the human effort ends and the activity of Christ begins. And I used to say this all the time to people in prison, that where do you want to be in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? And they would get so frustrated, all they could see is their imprisonment. And you don't have to be in prison to think you're imprisoned. So if you can only go by what you see, then you're limited. But if you turn within and look at God, which is the abundance, the health, the wholeness, the prosperity, the joy, the peace, the infinite supply, when you look at that and you allow that to saturate you from the inside out, you can see it out in the world. And that's like The Secret said, you don't have to see the whole stairway, you just need to see the first step. Take that first step. And that first step is what I call the creative process. The creative process is taught in the financial freedom class. And the ideal is, like when we're born, is to receive. Not to get up and go get, but to receive the breath of God and then to excel it. The ideal is to sit in the stillness with God, to sit with the one mind, the one power, the one presence, until we get an intuition, an idea that we augment with our imagination and let it inspire us to take action. And once we go through that process, we are bringing the no thing into form. We inform in and through, God informs in and through us, and we take action to fulfill that intuition, that idea that has inspired us, and we get a physical outcome. And then based on that physical outcome, we get a reaction of how it feels, what cognition we can extrapolate and bring into knowledge and wisdom. And the wisdom of God. And it is powerful for me that this involution that we use is a V, because we take in a breath and we expel breath. We take in a breath and we expel breath. And that is the rhythm of a heartbeat. We bring into ourselves the breath of God and we excel out our understanding of it. Are we open to the possibilities of change? This is a great question today. Are you willing to express more? Because God does not run out of supply. The world does not run out of things to do. And like my son would say, life is not boring. People are boring. And what he says by that is his friends don't want to leave the TV to go out and live a life. So life is constantly out there. It's not a TV babysitting you. There's a whole world out there to explore if we be open to it. And this process looks really easy, to sit in meditation with God and to listen to the still small voice, to see what is God's plan for us, in us, through us. But from the beginning of our birth to where we are right now, we have developed ideas about the world. We've developed emotions about how we feel and things that have happened in our life. So to work through this is to work through the mental conflicts or the emotional conflicts and the mental blocks, so that we become open to what's happening today instead of constricting based on what happened yesterday. Each time we practice a visioning, we are using our brain. We're to be an opening for God, that the mental faculties open up to receptivity, and then we're bringing it into our heart space to be inspired and take action. And through this, as we let go of the mental blocks, well, that never worked in the past. Why should it work now? And I don't like visioning because I sit and I don't see anything. And those statements limit your possibilities of visioning to the possibilities of God's desire for your life to express in and through you. And I know that it's tough in the beginning until it clicks. And then once you start getting a feeling tone, once you start getting an image, once you start looking at and threading the different times that you get together, then a picture starts to evolve, and it goes from having nothing on your pages to shaking it up and being with it and having an outline for possibilities for things for you to do. And if you're willing to sit with the possibilities, I guarantee you the possibilities will show up. But it's like the visioning for the church. Reverend Kevin and Reverend Sunshine has been doing visioning once a month since I've known them, for the Center of Spiritual Living in Downey. And each time we get together, it solidifies the feeling tone. It solidifies the vision, mission, and purpose for the facility. It solidifies what we do individually to provide collectively to the community, that everybody is important in this vision. There's no spot where you're not included, because there's no spot where God isn't there. Everybody is in the process of opening up to a bigger vision. The world is changing. We're not limited to the walls to connect with people. And we're being called upon to lean into our faith, into what we believe, so we don't become imprisoned with the COVID isolations. So visioning is one of the things that God uses us to keep us centered and to keep us open. That's a very powerful thing to do. And this is one class that you can take that doesn't cost anything and that you bring value to if you but participate in the visioning with Downey Center for Spiritual Living, because every voice has a spot in the creation of this facility, that we are coming together for God to express in and through us, to connect with each and every one of us that are here and those that are yet to come. A sense of separation from good causes us to feel restricted, while a sense of unity with good changes the current of causation and brings a happier condition into the experience. Everything in the physical universe is an effect. and exist only by virtue of some invisible cause. And that invisible cause is the no thing that becomes something when it's informed in you and expresses through you into form. That what we talk about, we bring about. What we think about, we experience. I have always been moved by those two twins that they studied. One was never happy and the other one was always happy. They gave the kid that wanted all these different toys, everything he wanted, and he was going wrong color, wrong size, need batteries, not a complete set, whatever. That one twin just wasn't happy no matter what he got. And the other twin, they gave him a box of horse manure. And when he opened it up, he went, oh my God, there's no way we can have this much horse manure without there being a pony around here somewhere. Where's my pony? It is up to us to define the experiences that we're having and knowing where the process is in each and every point. Every place that we're at, God is. And I wanted to invite you to give you an experience of visioning. It's an opportunity to sit in meditation and listen to the voice of the person leading the visioning. They will ask questions like, what is seeking to emerge in and through us and in through me? What is God's plan? What is God's highest idea for my life, for my center, for everyone that I want to love and contribute to? What is God wanting to use me? That song, Use Me, comes to mind. And what gifts do I have in me in this moment that I could use and fulfill now? What habits do I need to change to become the person I'm being called to become? I love that one. How do I get out of my own way that I can allow my greater yet to be to express and use me? Because my good, when I'm breathing, it feels good, but my great is letting go of that breath and living my life only to be supplied again with another breath of God. It is about releasing to make room for more God. How can I get out of my own way? And is there anything else I must release or embrace? And if we use this in our lives, we are open to the power and the presence of God. I love listening to Joyce Meyer. She's a televangelist, and she is funny. She's big, she's bold, she's loud like me, and I like her. And she said that when she first started in the ministry, that she was told that a woman's place was to take care of her home, that she was a supportive person, that men ran the church, men ran the Bible studies, men did that. But she felt like she wanted to lead it. She felt like she had something to contribute. But she was also an obedient, disciplined woman, or so she thought. So she said she took up sewing because all the other ladies in the Bible study were sewing and providing for their family. So she created and sewed a pair of shorts for her husband. However, the pockets came about 4 inches after the shorts ended. So his pockets were showing under the hem of his shorts because it wasn't something she loved doing. She was trying to do to fit in. And she also said that her neighbor had a beautiful garden right next door. So she decided to plant a garden. And through the garden, bugs came up and was eating her tomato and eating her plants. And all of these things kept showing up. And she's like, why, God? Why does she get beautiful vine-ripe tomatoes and the bugs are eating mine? And she said she was surprised to hear immediately, I didn't tell you to plant a garden. I told you to teach the Bible study. So in this visioning, if you listen and you cooperate with the current of life, letting God take you and flow through each aspect of your life, And I think it's interesting that the water flows in the current, and the current sea is the flow of money. I think it's interesting how it all ties together. So what must I release or embrace? Must I release the thinking that I am not a good visioner and develop my skill and embrace God's vision for my life and the Center for Sinner, Downey for Sinner Spiritual Living? La, 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 tongue twister. So these are some of the things I would invite you to use. To create visioning is to do a practice of meditation, participate in a spiritual mind treatment, which is religious science form of prayer. And the prayer is not designed to impress upon the flow of God to come into your life. God is always giving you what you want. It's just, what are you thinking about? What are you talking about? Spiritual mind treatment is to develop within you the receptivity of letting go of your past belief and being open to the receptivity of prayer through affirmations, taking classes, journaling. Anybody that is widely successful in the world uses a practitioner, a coach, or a mentor. Have somebody that develop a team that supports you. That's what the visioning is about. It's creating a team. And practice gratitude, surrender to a higher power, allow peace to know that you've made it. I was looking at that. My son's going to be 50 in June. And I did 50 times 365, and for 18,500 days or so, I've been worried about him. But he's always survived. It's like, why am I doing that to myself? And why am I doing that to him? I practice the gratitude, the surrender, the peace, and the love in me, so I can then see it in him. It happens in here, like Bertha said, it happens in me first, and then I recognize it in the world. And I ask you, if you're committed to transformation, if you're open to the possibilities, to practice your faith. If you believe what Science of Mind teaches, that God is omnipresent, omnipowerful, omnipotent, everywhere, in everything, all-knowing, then practice that. Practice your faith. Notice what you're saying to yourself and what you say to others. And then witness. Is it true? I catch myself often saying little white lies. I can't use my favorite. Traffic was heavy. I'm sorry I'm late. I can't use that anymore because everything's Zoom. So just witness. Are you telling the truth? And decide what must be done for you to be in alignment with that, so that you can walk your talk. Let your thoughts, your words, your feelings and actions be in alignment for you. And then watch how the world benefits from your inner transformation. Believe it, see it, say it, feel it with your whole being, and then watch it come to pass. And now, if you just take a deep breath with me, that as we close this talk with a prayer, that if we just breathe in the love of God, relax and behold, and know that God's grace is unfolding as our life. Breathe in, relax. Stop running block for God. Dear God, open me up that I am safe, courageous, and have faith to allow the fullness of God to move in and through me, and in through each and every person here, and in and through Downey Center for Spiritual Living. And then as that feels to overflow out into the world, that we see, feel, and know the love of God is the only activity in town, that we embody and embrace this with our whole heart, and we see it, we hear it, and we feel it in every aspect of our lives, that we own this, that we march forth, that we step out so courageously that there is no second guessing what we believe. We believe in our faith, our God. We trust the process, and we know that something greater beyond our understanding is happening here, and that we wait in the presence and the practice of our spirit in our faith, and know that something great and greater is happening in and through us. That thank you, God, that I of myself do nothing to what you have already made perfect in this world. I surrender all, and I know it is already so. And so it is. And as Reverend Sunshine and Gary and Kevin and everyone is coming accustomed to saying, and now it is. I give forth with great love this prayer for us as we hold true that God is at work here and that God is using each and every person in this activity today to bring their best, to share, to live from the overflow, their understanding of their God. Thank you, God. Yes, more please. And so it is. Thank you so much.